While researching keywords for my Swipe the Cat game, I stumbled across one of the weirdest keywords ever. Games for cats. Like actual games for your cat, where your cat interacts with the screen, I guess. And at first I thought this was a bit silly. Who's downloading apps for their cat? It turns out people are. And these apps are actually generating revenue. We've just found another $100,000 app idea. This app generated $10,000 last month from 40,000 downloads. And this app also generated $10,000 last month from 90,000 downloads. That's $120,000 a year. But the trend doesn't stop there. Search games for dogs and you'll find a game that generated $8,000 last month from 40,000 downloads. What's going on here? In this video, I'm going to dive into this niche and I'm going to show you why games for pets is secretly a six-figure niche and how this game for cats is generating $120,000. I actually can't believe I just said those words in a sentence. First, let's do a deep dive on the keywords. Games for cats is a popular keyword. According to Astro, it has a popularity of 47 and competition of 46. And games for dogs has a popularity of 30 and competition of 57. This tells me two things. There is actual demand in the App Store, and there's not actually a lot of competition. That's not much of a surprise. You dive a little deeper and find that only 5 apps in the top 5 are targeting the keyword games for cats as an exact match keyword. And only one app for dogs. Laser pointer, games for dogs. This app was released 2 years ago and only has 7 reviews, with 1.7 average review. So that's not very good. But this market research shows me there is room in this niche to rank an app in the App Store and generate up to $10,000 a month. But how do you even make a game for a cat or a dog anyway? Turns out, it's not actually that hard. These are really simple apps. They're literally little games aimed at grabbing the attention of your pets. They use sounds, motion, bright colors, and images of things the pet likes. Mice, fish, that sort of thing. Although I kind of doubt a cat recognizes the object as being a mouse within the game. A cat is probably more interested in the sound and the motion. The important thing here is to just keep things simple. Minimal elements on screen and high contrast. The foreground element can't disappear into the background, and that's important. While making my Swipe the Cat game, I tried to do the same, in a way. But my audience wasn't the local tomcat, it was a real person, a real user. The cat is always white, with a bright, vibrant background color, and the aim is to recognize the cat as quickly as possible and swipe. There's a bit of a moment here when I realize we're kind of not too dissimilar from cats. Like, they like moving objects, we like moving objects, they like bright colors, we like bright colors, they like high contrast, we like high contrast. But I guess you're not going to go to the extra length of adding leaderboards or share buttons within a game for cats. And it's usually here that I recommend visualizing how your user would use your app. But for an app made for cats and dogs, you just can't. But you're going to need to capture the attention of your target market. If a cat doesn't interact with your game, you're going to get a bunch of bad reviews. Not from the cat, but from the cat's owner. And when it comes to testing your app, it helps that you have a pet at home of your own. That's going to be an advantage here. This game, Games for Cats and Sounds Meow, has an interesting strategy. The app itself has a bunch of games, one with a mouse, a neon bug, a shoelace, a cockroach, even a laser pointer. Selecting a game mode lets you customize the game field. In this case, the laser feature lets you change the number of objects on screen and their speed. I think this is kind of important. A user will test the app on their cat. And if it doesn't grab their attention immediately, they're going to leave the app, maybe delete it, maybe even leave a bad review in the process. But by customizing what can be displayed on the screen, you're kind of putting the onus back on the user. And they might be inclined to test different configurations and see what works. Maybe a different object will work, maybe changing the speed will work, maybe the number of elements on screen will work. The aim then is for the user to find the configuration that works best for them, keeping them within your app longer and hopefully finding a setting which captures their cat's attention. This particular app has ads. And I'm not a big fan of ads because you really need a lot of daily users to generate any meaningful revenue. But these ads are placed just before the game begins. And if you're dealing with an animal with limited attention, it takes up too much time. I can only imagine that a user is running around after their cat trying to get their attention. They start the game and an ad. This strategy is probably to encourage people to upgrade to the premium feature. The paywall you see on the screen is in Australian currency. Converted to US dollars, the weekly subscription is around $3, monthly for $4, and annual for $30. And this app is one of the more popular in this niche, generating 90,000 downloads and $10,000 in revenue. But from my experience, that's actually a really low conversion. Most of my consumer apps generate around about 50 cents for every download. So for every 2 downloads, I can expect to generate around about $1. With an app generating 90,000 downloads, I would expect to make around about $45,000 a month. That's some serious cash for a game for cats. This app could easily boost revenue by offering a free trial on the weekly subscription, dropping the monthly subscription option, and lowering the price of the annual subscription. If this were my app, I would set the weekly price to around $4.99 US and the annual to $24.99. I've done a whole series on monetization strategies. I'll put a link in the description below. As a side note, this app also has a bunch of cat sounds. It's kind of like a soundboard for cats. Pretty easy to build, nothing special here. And out of curiosity, I checked whether people are looking for apps dedicated to cat sounds. Yes, they are. Popularity 30, difficulty 41, with 5 apps targeting the exact match keywords in the top 10 results. I found this niche purely by accident when I was researching my Swipe the Cat game. I thought it was a bit of a joke and didn't think too much about it until I started looking at the numbers. People are downloading apps for their pets, and there's not a lot of competition here. But the competition is there, but it's severely under-monetized. What they're doing is they're proving just how many downloads you can get in this niche. The best part, these apps are simple, like really simple. Bright colors, moving objects, a few sound effects here, but the main challenge is not in the development of features, but in attention, grabbing the attention of the cat or dog the app is targeted at. So yeah, it turns out the next $100,000 app idea is a game for your pet. Who would have thought?